What is going on, guys? We are in the dark right now. It looks all fucking gangster. Look like we're the Emperor in Star Wars.
Have you seen Star Wars?
Yeah. No, I haven't actually. Anyways, we got Grant's car on the trailer because Grant decided to break his car while we were trying to go have some fun tonight. So we're heading back to the shop now, and we are gonna throw a new radiator in this car and do some cool upgrades. So check it out. Now we got his car in the shop, and this is the culprit right here. But yeah, the upper radiator hose right there broke, and it just broke in there too. It spilled out all the piss that we put in the overflow on the toge because we needed to get home. Luckily, his engine is fine. It's still... Hopefully it's fine, but it didn't overheat tonight. It did overheat last night. And then we're gonna throw these guys on there. Stainless steel clutch line, and then stainless braided brake lines, so he can get a super awesome brake pedal feel and clutch pedal feel. And also he might have the CDV, so if he does, we'll be deleting that as well, so he can do some gangster clutch kicks. Now Grant's got the radiator all out. As you can see here, he also killed his AC idler pulley at one point, and he was confused as to why his AC randomly stopped working. So he decided to just pull all his AC stuff out, which is tight. There's the radiator, there's the stock fan. Still gotta pull the compressor, of course, but no condenser, no dryer. Got rid of the lines. Got a big old pile of parts right here. Pulled the hood insulation as well, just cause that doesn't weigh that much, but all this stuff doesn't weigh too much, but it's off the front of the car, which is the hard part to pull weight off of. And then Grant did a great thing. He locked his keys in his car. So my camera's been having a ton of problems, so I'm sorry we kind of missed a lot of stuff, but here's where we're at now. Grant got the new radiator in. The radiator is a 6-cylinder radiator, came out of an M3, whereas the radiator he had was obviously the 4-cylinder one. It's much narrower. Had to do a couple modifications, a little kind of ghetto, but it's temporary. Fan shroud for the 4-cylinder is just mounted to the radiator there. He doesn't have a lower radiator mount over here for now, because the 4-cylinder one was different. So just a couple zip ties kind of holding everything in place. There's some down low too. And then we had to lengthen the radiator hose because the 4-cylinder one ended up like here. We just had to lengthen it. Basically the same thing we did on Asher's car with the LS swap. Like that. And then he also had to go to a pod filter, so he just threw this right on his MAF, and it's okay for now. We'll probably end up making a little elbow just to get it lower, get it in this area. And then, yeah, other than that, it's looking pretty clean up here. We got the new stainless braided clutch line in there, and we got the stainless braided lines up in the front. We did not get the stainless braided lines in the back because those aren't going to work, because for some reason the 4-cylinder is different than the 6-cylinder when it comes to that. While he was at it, he also decided to strip out his car. He even pulled the passenger seat out.
We racers, we don't need chicks!
Get this thing super light for the toge. Gotta stay fast, you know. So a couple other little upgrades we did while we're here. Got rid of the secondary air injection pump, and Corey made this little block off plate that actually looks pretty nice. And then pulled the AC compressor and bracket from down there just because that's unnecessary weight. And also the SAI pump was down there. That was a good 5 pounds just from that. And a cool little kind of technical fact about this car, being that it's a 4-cylinder instead of the 6-cylinder, from the factory they have a 49% weight distribution up front and 51 in the rear, which is pretty cool because when you pull weight out of a car, it's way easier to pull weight from the back half, which, you know, divide the wheelbase in the middle. You're right about here on this car, actually, maybe a little forward. So, you know, you can pull the rear seats, you can pull the rear package tray, all the rear trunk carpet, you can pull the spare tire, and then as you move forward, you can pull the front door panels, you can pull the passenger seat, you can pull the AC up front, but not a whole lot more than that. You can start cutting stuff, but then you run into possibly losing rigidity rigidity. So the way we pulled, you know, he pulled a bunch of weight out of the rear, and then as he moved forward, he pulled kind of a little bit less weight, less and less weight. So he might still be right around a 50-50 weight distribution and have about estimated like a 2,700 pound car. So besides being fairly underpowered for being a 4-cylinder, it is a pretty well-balanced car. It should be pretty good, especially with the decent tires that he got on there. And then he's just working on getting it a little bit better and better all the time. Pretty sweet. Grant had to order a coolant expansion tank because the 4-cylinder one is different, which is in the dumpster already, I think. But so the 4-cylinder one is it sits over here, and it's actually a part of the radiator. And I didn't know any of these differences, so I'm kind of just learning because I don't know a whole lot about 318i stuff, 4-cylinder junk. Usually the expansion tank is on this side as a part of the radiator. On the 6-cylinders, it's on this side, and it sits right about here. So in ghetto fashion, because we're just trying to get this thing back together, the hose went to the bottom of the coolant expansion tank. That worked out. He just zip tied it in place for now, which actually I think it's gonna be sitting too high, but zip tied it in place. We're gonna have to run this hose right to here, and then it should all be good. He is 6-cylinder swapping this car. That's the only reason I'm allowing all this ghetto stuff right now. Once we go 6-cylinder, everything will be nice and legit. But for now, this will get him back on the road. And why is this thing in here? So this is the factory mount for the 318, and you can see how it comes off. There's where the frame rail would be. It comes off of the frame rail like an extra inch, whereas, probably can't see it on this side. You can kind of see how the mount is like right at the frame rail. So that's the difference. Basically, he needs to pick up one of these for a 6-cylinder, and then, you know, that'll get rid of this zip tie. I don't even know what this zip tie's doing. He's just hanging out. That guy. And then this zip tie and that zip tie are just to hold the 4-cylinder fan in place, because again, it's narrower. Once you go 6-cylinder, this fan won't work at all because there's no room for it. So we're gonna have to do a lot of changes like that. He is one step ahead with the 6-cylinder radiator. Then we're just gonna have to keep moving and upgrade everything to 6-cylinder. Then he's gonna have to upgrade his rear diff to a 6-cylinder because the 318 has a really tiny rear diff that will definitely break even under a stock 6. So yeah, definitely need to replace that or send it to the moon. And speaking of 6-cylinders, because I just said it like 30 times because Corey pointed that out, here is some of his parts. We have the M54 B30 crankshaft. It's going to be that inside M50 block, M50 B25 with an M52 B28 head and S52 B32 cams. Wow, that's a lot of numbers. But that's a stroker crankshaft in relation to the factory one, so it'll increase his displacement and give him more torque. Those probably aren't the M3 cams, otherwise they wouldn't just be thrown in a pile like that. But the M3 cams will give him more airflow, and then he's got forged pistons, rods, and that'll let him hold more power once he boosts it. And after spilling a ton of coolant on the ground, he got the system all bled. He was having an issue before he cracked the bleeder screw that it like wasn't taking in any fluid, but that was probably because it was totally dead ass empty. But now it is all good. Your radiator's drooping again.
I know. I'm gonna go underneath and figure out a way to like bracket it up almost or something.
Just try to order one of those brackets ASAP.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to go. Let's go do some donuts.
Jesus.
Car's tough, I'll give you that. It's a tough one to learn. What happened? Fuck me. Oh, no, we blew off the upper radiator hose.
Again.
No, didn't break it, but just blew it off. That's why it wasn't running very good, because it was
Dying inside.
well, it was flooded.
Oh.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I felt like I was like thinking we sucked up water the way it was like driving, but it was still okay. Yeah. Well, I blew Grant's upper radiator hose off, which I will just blame Grant, even though it may or may not be his fault. He might have not tightened this all the way. Possible.
It's possible I fucked up, but it's more possible that I'm gonna find an excuse to also blame Matt. I am scoping out that Mickey D's real quick though. My ass hungry as shit. Hey, chill. I'm husky.
Sucks we can't go inside because we're locked down.
For real though. Also, I hit my vape and it tastes like coolant now, and I kind of want to fucking die. So as you can see, Matt broke things. Oh no, I don't have a flat head. Yeah, the one good thing is you won't have to vent pressure now. No, we're good. Thanks for stopping. God, this engine hates me. Just wasted $10.99. Do you think that's good?
Yeah, it'll get us to the shop.
Oh, okay.
And after all that, we still ended up with a broken car. So he ordered a coil radiator for it, and that's gonna go in here next, and that's not gonna break. I'll show you what happened real quick. Since this is a factory style radiator, or factory, it has the plastic end tanks, and it's just old and brittle. So it just developed a few like pinholes that were spraying out coolant. So we're just going to go to an all aluminum coil radiator and it'll be good to go. And then once he has the 6-cylinder, it'll all be good, just like I was saying earlier. And that is all. Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for this new E30 project we just picked up.